I have the Dr. U book out. There'll be new revisions coming up by the summer with new upgrades to the top 1, 2, 3 nutraceutical protocols, and there's several hundred to deal with pretty well every health issue you can imagine. I'm also going to be embedding videos and putting more medical references, also more information regarding testing, etc., in those protocols, and they're available to everyone, including health professionals, if they just buy a product. You need to be a customer to get access. All of the videos, including YouTube and live stream, are all free. All the access to looking at products and getting embedded information. We don't ask for membership. All you have to do is just kind of click on it, and you can see the now increasing number of live stream videos that will be posted up on all the products. And welcome back, Ryan. I think what's neat about what we're providing...
Thanks, Deagle.
Yeah, what we're providing is very unique. I mean, even among what we call functional medicine docs. And I was just doing some searching over the weekend because we're doing a lot of social media. We have our Blueberry, which is housing our podcasts and our archives over at Blueberry. If you go to the link, second one down. And it also houses our a way of social networking all of our videos that are over on Livestream. I have a Livestream premium channel with a number of events, and we'll be adding a new one. I think I'm going to add one for an event for all the other Republic Broadcasting hosts that actually will be interviewed. I'll post their archive over there, but also on a particular topic, whether it's geopolitical or spiritual or nutritional. And I think what people should realize is what we're doing is we're not just saying take this nutraceutical, it's going to fix everything. I don't believe in, except I'll do a few exceptions, in a magic bullet. I believe in a magic orchestra of bioactivated molecules, lifestyle change, diet, nutraceuticals, and other technology. And when you combine things, you can often get rid of most of the medications that are in the so-called healthcare quiver, and you can substitute and get nutraceuticals in there, and the person actually starts getting well. Aging is not unidirectional. It's bidirectional. And one of the things I try to tell people is no one's older than a 7-year-old, which is kind of strange, other than a few neurons that hang around. You rebuild your body every 7 years. And when you go to sleep, you're cloning yourself into the future. Interesting, hey? Even though you have memories, those memories are passed on from a previous version of you to the new version of you. And if you have the right nutraceuticals, like, for example, if you're trying to sleep, I'd like to talk about this for a minute. We have several nutraceutical formulas, Calm Mind and Brain Mag, and melatonin TR. And by the way, melatonin TR will also protect your eyes and your central nervous system from neurodegeneration. So let's talk about Calm Mind, Brain Mag, and melatonin TR for sleep induction, because if you don't sleep properly, you're not going to clone yourself into the future.
Yeah, Calm Mind, I think, is a rock star in the NUTRIMEDICAL lineup. It's a fascinating formulation that uses a combination of a taurine, magglycinate, myo-inositol, a little bit of GABA, and a little bit of theanine, as well as magglycinate. And these things, it's very easy to use powder. And usually when people take a dose, 1 to 2 scoops, they can start noticing a pretty significant impact on the way that their body is feeling and thinking within,
If they notice, people notice I'm a little bit more calm today, it's because several days last week I didn't take my Calm Mind Brain Mag. It's like, well, you'll notice that Deagle's a little hyper. Last night I took a significant amount, so I slept better. And today I'm what I call Deagle level 1, not Deagle level 5. How's that? So it's important to, and by the way, if you get a proper sleep, you're going to get, proper sleep architecture. Your blood pressure is lower. Your body heals itself. Your stem cells are activated by this whole process. And the other one is Brain Mag. Brain Mag is very unique. Even magnesium, which is what I call the life mineral, it can't cross the blood-brain barrier. Taurine crosses a bit. But even better is magnesium L-threonate. We have, of course, in the Brain Mag, threonate and glycinate, which is the least, likely to irritate your bowels if you try to get your magnesium up and to affect your heart and blood vessels and your solid organs. But to cross the blood-brain barrier, the threonate is the best. Next is taurate. Let's talk about that a bit, because Brain Mag is an important formula for protecting your brain from the stress of life, the stress of oxidative stress of just living in our current world. And, and your eyes, because remember now, your eye is literally an external portion of your brain. When you're looking at someone's eyes, you're actually looking at 90% of the source of the afferents, which means nerve signals that go back to the brain, is from your eye. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty wild, when you really think about what we're, how we're made and the incredibleness of it all. But also this issue, as you're saying, the brain mag, that most people do take supplementation with magnesium of some sort, and they typically know to do that due to, aches and muscles not working quite right in their body or not being able to go to the bathroom regularly. This is a whole nother level. This is brain magnesium, because the form of magnesium that's found in this formulation has been shown to cross effectively that blood-brain barrier, where other magnesiums really can't do that or do it very effectively, so that you can't get that dramatic benefit. But when it comes to, challenges that are happening in the brain tissue, there's just been remarkable studies done with the animals and now moving into humans, where they see some dramatic impact on the way that cognitive function is occurring with adequate amounts of magnesium in the brain tissue. If you don't have it, the chances of creating inflammation and damage to the brain tissue becomes higher and higher, and then moving down that road of cognitive dysfunction, which scares everybody.
Yeah, I think the animal studies have shown that the magnesium L-threonate will actually protect against neurofibrillar tangle development, holes in the brain and the cortex, and loss of white matter. I mean, that's pretty big news.
Yeah,
it means if
it's
you're
pretty
taking
profound.
this,
and one of the things in animals that they did too was studies done with what's known as fear extinction. And this is a fascinating thing, because so many people are, holding on to dramatic events that have occurred in their lives of one form or another, and it really messes with them. It messes with their stress and messes with the way that they think and feel. And what was fascinating was these animals were programmed to react specifically to a very harmful, fearful thing to them. And then when they take away that, harmful, let's say, shock or something like that, the animals would still react to it, right? Just by hearing a certain noise associated with it. What was fascinating when they used this ingredient in particular is it totally reprogrammed them to not be reactionary like that very quickly. And so what they were able to do is prove that the animals can still pick up new fears, if need be, for survival, but at the same time it can let go of others that become basically a non-issue. And I think there's a lot of people listening who go, man, I could really use help like that.
Well, any kind of traumatic event. In fact, they even found that young men in, say, their early 20s that were working remotely piloting drones from a building in Atlanta were still getting PTSD, even though they weren't in the battlefield, because they were killing people. They fire off a heat-seeking missile, and boom, a lot of people would become, street Pete's, as they call it. Well, they were having as high as 79% within a matter of 6 months of being in the drone patrols. And what it is, it's a seizure disorder of the limbic system. And those are actually volumetric changes. When those nerves get stressed so much, they actually reduce in volume. Now, what happens is the parts of the brain, people always think of linear things, like the brain thinks from today and tomorrow and yesterday. And the way the emotional parts of the brain, it doesn't have time. It thinks of a gestalt, or a series of signals, and it responds as if everything's now. So in order to extinguish the PTSD or stress, chronic stress, low-grade stress, you have to kind of de-stress those neurons and literally turn off the seizure disorder in the limbic system. When you turn it off, the neurons start to heal, and the behavior, which is the fight or flight behavior driven from the brain to the autonomic nuclei in the brain, that goes down to the autonomic nuclei in the spinal cord and the gut. Because remember, it's when it finally gets to the gut neurons and you start releasing massive amounts of stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, you get the full fight or flight reaction, not just in your central nervous system, but all the way else through your neuroendocrine pathways. But the primary thing is the brain. So if you start taking that, and I would usually recommend Calm Mind Brain Mag and what I call Mood Elevator, which is our Posinol. And the Calm Mind Brain Mag by itself is amazing. You take 1 scoop of each 3 times a day, and maybe 2 scoops an hour before bedtime, and you're as I say, if you want to go down and play billiards or pool and be cool and not shaking, or you're playing, or you're in a big business meeting, or you're trying to kind of stay cool during exams, this is what you want. It doesn't sedate you either. That's the neat thing. It doesn't make you like a zombie, like, why are you looking funny and your eyes are glassed over? No, your eyes will not be glassed over on Calm Mind and Brain Mag. You'll just be more centered. It's kind of amazing, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's really fun to kind of play around and mess with some of these things. You said billiards. I would recommend it if people play golf. That's a good one, actually, because golf can cause people to get a little too excited and get what's known as the yips, or not be able to feel like they're comfortable, over the ball, and they're
golf is a psychological thing. I was watching one of the stories about one of the top golfers who's got some what I call some phobias, but in terms of his ability to focus his mind, this guy is twitchy. He notices everything. He can feel which direction the wind's going, so he's compensating, and he always slices every ball, but he slices it against the wind. So it's like this guy is what I call a freak of nature. But that's what you want. You want to be very calm, extremely focused. Look at top athletes. Like I watched John Johns, who's at mixed martial arts on the weekend. This guy walks in there, and while he's fighting, this guy is relaxed and cool. Like, hey, we're going shopping. We're going to go to a movie now with his daughter. He doesn't look stressed. This guy, even when he's doing extreme physical activity, you can tell he's not. His stress hormones are not going through the ceiling. He's not getting fatigued by the third round out of 5. Because, and this is what I tell people, when you stress boosting yourself, it's what I call a lubricant for the day. Your body just says, hey, I can do this. At the end of the day, you say, wow, I had a pretty productive day, but I'm not all burnt out. That's pretty good.
And that's the key to all this athletic performance, being able to handle the stress. But that's life, too. It's not just athletic performance, as you're saying. There could be anything. You could have jobs. You could have stressful family situations, bills to pay and things like that. But, there's certain times in your life when, even though all these things are stacked up, you feel like you got it. You're like, I know you're juggling a lot, but you go, I got it.
But the got it part basically is molecular. I tell people are tripartite. There's a physical body, but your physical body is like 150 trillion cells that are each little, we call cellular membrane, little bags of chemicals run by genes. And your genes basically, like Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief, is signal, which is via, chemical messengers, but more so biophoton messengers, change the conformation of proteins to turn on and off genes, and enzymes, structural proteins and enzymes. And so you got signal and substance equals life. Well, if you have the right building blocks, and you have the right nutraceuticals, and you have the right things to modulate stress, so you're in that zone. Like, you cannot heal your body into your what we call parasympathetic. If you're in sympathetic, high stress, you can't heal anything. You can't heal your joints, your brain, your other tissues, and you accelerate aging because your body says, hey, when was the last time you were parasympathetic during sleep or any other time during the day so you could heal? Not. Why do you think you're aging? Well, you're aging real fast because you haven't had any time where your body goes into what we call parasympathetic healing phase, and you're regenerating and cloning yourself into the future. Maybe we should call it the clone ratio. How many minutes a day are you cloning yourself into the future? Did you get the right stage 4 sleep? Did you get proper release of melatonin and other brain peptides? Those are all dependent on things like Calm Mind Brain Mag and other nutraceuticals like our Vitamin Max Minerals Plus. Because if you don't have the minerals, remember they're like the black keys on the keyboard. If you don't have the right minerals, nothing works. You don't induce the enzymes to make the proteins. You don't turn on the DNA. That's why we have things like life support with the activated protein, amino acid chelated minerals, and the activated vitamins that jump over any gene defects you've inherited or epigenetically gotten from your parents. Because remember, epigenesis has an effect too, where you make a generation of people low on a certain mineral, those enzymes can be depressed for 5 generations. Interesting, eh? Even if they're getting enough in their diet. So there's a lot more to this than what meets the eye, isn't there? And special nutraceuticals will make a big difference. Let's pull out some of the kind of conditions that I've dealt with recently. I guess I get literally dozens and dozens of consults every week. I like what I call untying Gordian knots. I love helping people. That's why I make it free. Except when somebody dumps a ton of medical or legal records on me and they want me to do an evaluation, I'm going to charge for my time. But if you just give me an email with saying I got a couple paragraphs, this is what's wrong, this is what I want to address, I'll give you a call basic protocol, and then I'll say, and if your budget permits, start this, and if that's not working in a month, we can go crazy. And it depends on how crazy you want to go, because I can go a long way down the trail to do fancy imaging tests, organic acids, gene tests, like 23andMe and Prometheus analysis of your data. Virtually whatever test you want to do in the world, I can do and interpret. Imaging study, whatever. And that's neat because it means we can help you, and we can help your doctors to say, hey, this is appropriate time for surgery or not. You want to regenerate a joint. We had one gentleman, for example, last year. his doctor was hell-bent on giving him a knee replacement. I said, well, did he do an MRI arthrogram? Oh, no, he didn't do it yet. I said, well, we want a referral to an orthopedic surgeon, but you want to get an MRI arthrogram of your joint. And they did it, and I said, I'll bet your problem is behind your kneecap from the symptoms you told me and not your knee. And that's exactly what was wrong. He needed to have the surgeon clean up the joint, deburr it where it was hibernating, and put an Highland in there, and reattach the ligaments to his kneecap so it would track properly with a dynamic splint brace. That's all I needed. Then he needed our nutraceuticals, Collagen Max, Inflamex, Tendon Joint Performance. And guess what? Maybe Mountain Red Velvet. Knees regenerating. He's a happy camper. No knee replacement. Big deal. So in other words, yeah, he needed a little surgery. He needed to have an arthrogram to clean up the garbage in his kneecap because he'd been years of neglect. And he needed to reattach the ligaments so his kneecap properly tracked along the femoral condyles. But he didn't need a knee replacement, partial or complete. That's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same way you got someone with cognitive decay. You know, I tell people, you know, you getting cognitive delay? Do you have normal brain circulation? Do you have normal lipids? You know, we use things like our cardiovasc, and then we give fatty acids, omega supreme krill and omega supreme. We give things to improve brain function like CoQ10 supreme ubiquinol. Remember, the ubiquinol is the one that crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's a water-soluble reserve form. We give our VascuCare propionyl L-carnitine. We give things to improve brain function, mitochondrial brain function, like cell detox glutathione and Nutritrala to stop free radical damage, because most people that are getting cognitive decline, they have BOF, brain on fire. And if you're a young person with BOF, you're going to get ADD, ADHD, and Asperger's syndrome. And if you're an older person, you're going to get pre-dementia and dementia. I mean, this is tied directly to diabetes, which is we call diabetes type 3 is basically free radical disease of the brain. So your astrocytes eventually stop firing, and you don't form a neural network, which is stage 1 of thought and memory. And I interact with neuroscientists all the time because I've done neuroscience research, and I can tell you, as I say, I can make a neurologist better, a neuroscientist better, a rehab doctor better by just telling them what to do. You know, like, where's the problem? And things like our Axon 2 nerve scanning that I developed with Dr. Jim Henchcock at UC Irvine. This is approved in 1997, and I upgraded it in 2000 with a potentiometry EMG, and it's the only objective test for monitoring and identifying pain on nerve fibers, including spinal and peripheral nerves, in history. It's the only one in history. And this test, we've trained tons of doctors all across America and worldwide to do this test and have the technology. You do not need to be in the dark as to why you're having pain. And most people don't realize if you have pain, without skin, you cannot suffer pain, okay? So if we use things like pregnenolone and curcumin cream, it's a major part of turning off pain. So let's talk about these for a minute, because pain basically is modulated by what's called the Langerhans gate in your skin. It's #1 gate. And I have it in my 1986 patents from the U.S. Patent Office for my pain gate technology discs, which I'm going to be working on trying to get manufacturing here soon, but obviously you need a lot of money to do that. But I have the patents going back 30 years ago, believe it or not. And the first gate, basically, you can start turning off the pain with not only cell defense and our new Cell Defense Plus and Inflamex to work in the tissues, which is called the pain generators, but in the pain modulators in your skin. And that's where curcumin, liposomal curcumin, and pregnenolone comes in. We'll be back in a minute with Ryan for the last segment. And then the bottom of the hour, we're going to be joined by Pete Fedek, and hopefully we'll also get Jim Deal. It's Karatbar University, usually the first hour on Tuesdays, but tomorrow we'll have Roger Stone, advisor to Donald Trump and great author. Passover weekend sale till midnight tonight. You get 7% on top of our previous sale prices with free shipping of all bottles, right down to one bottle. And remember now, everybody can get an email or phone consult back free. The only thing is if you have a really complex case and you try to dump a whole pile of records and so on, I am going to recommend that we charge you for time consult, and I charge $150 per half hour. So you get it all free if you just call or email, and then I give you specifically starter protocols how to get yourself well. And I'll also recommend what nutraceuticals you can use to get off the drugs, and what alternative care and other things, and even what clinics around the world you can go to for special types of care. So Ryan, let's look at some of the other things that we can do. Functional medicine is really advancing. One of the things that we put out earlier in a couple of months ago was my book, Dr. U, which will be revised by the summer, just introducing some new protocols and some new information to explain and teach, and there'll be some embedded videos in there as well, live stream. Dr. U basically teaches in functional medicine, and functional medicine is all-encompassing, includes surgery, medications, nutraceuticals, herbology, chiropractic, massage, naturopathy, biophotonics, such as the quantitative resonant magnetic machine, which is one of my favorites because the test only takes a minute. This generates 35 panels of tests and several hundred tests using biophotonic matching of your body versus anybody else in their giant database, just by age and sex. There's more advanced technology yet, which is the Russian space agency Metatron, developed by Dr. Nestorov, and I have the Chinese version called the Bioplasm Expert in Clinical, which was the most advanced diagnostic biophoton technologies developed for the Russian space agency. So they had cosmonauts literally with the technology in their helmet. They could tell their medical status, even from the ground, of different organ function, literally by hydrophones in their helmet in space. That's how amazing it was. So we have technology now where we can go back and validate with blood tests, urine tests, organic acids, packed minerals of their regular minerals in the red blood cells and heavy metals. We can look at all kinds of advanced imaging studies now, like, quantitative resonant magnetic tests, PET scans, SPECT blood flows, scans of the brain, transesophageal echocardiograms of the heart, high-speed CT scans, and so on. So I tell people there is no such thing as a way of that we can't validate what we're doing to make you better. Okay? And so one of the best ways we start people off is our drinks: Ageless, Life Support, Glycemics, and NutriComplete. And of course we have some that you have to buy multi-packs to get them, which is the Ageless Energize. So we have 3 packs of that. But the drinks, let's talk about drinks for a minute, because a lot of times people say, I don't want to take pills. I often say, be your own barista. Open the capsules. Make a blended up version of it, powder in the refrigerator, and put a little tiny scoop of it in your drink with Ageless, Life Support, Glycemics, and NutriComplete. Add maybe some oils like the Omega Cod Liver Liquid. Puncture them with soft gels like the Omega Supreme Krill, and just squeeze those into the drink and keep it in the refrigerator. And then you have a small 2 or 3 ounce glass 2 or 3 times a day. If you're trying to lose weight, great substitute for having a snack of garbage. Have 2 or 3 ounces of that instead of some kind of sugary snack that's going to drive your blood insulin and your lipid levels through the ceiling. So, Ryan, let's talk about the drinks for a minute. What's your favorite? What's your favorite of the drinks, Ryan?
Well, it's hard to pick a specific favorite, but I would have to say for a lot of individuals, I would think Life Support is probably one of the top ones to use, just because it's so multifaceted in the way that it comes after using a whole host of herbs to bring down inflammatory issues in the body, help support the gastrointestinal tract and hormonal balance, in particular detoxification through both phase 1 and phase 2 balancing. 26 grams of protein per serving. It is just loaded with great nutrients, but the bottom line is it tastes so good. All these shakes do, but this one is so comprehensive. I think this is going to solve a lot of challenges for people, and it also serves, unlike swallowing a capsule, what's beautiful is it serves as a meal replacement for people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's key. I tell people, for example, if you take someone that's say diabetic or pre-diabetic, and most people don't realize, UCLA published just 2 weeks ago, 69% of adults in California, which is a good sample compared to America and around the world, are pre-diabetic or diabetic, over 30. Which means that, and even beyond the blood sugar problem, most people don't realize, years before your blood sugar climbs, your blood insulin is above 2 microunits per ml blood fasting. And so, how many doctors are measuring fasting insulin on people? None.
I was just not able to get a hold of them.
Okay, we'll get them for another time. Jim is another one of our upline people within Carrot Bars. And Carrot Bars is the first gold-backed currency that retains points to infinity, helps you build an independent income, but also it's just exchanging fractional reserve currency for gold-backed currency with 1, 2.5, 5 grams of gold in these cards that are LBMA certified traveling vaults. Carrot Bar currency notes, which are 1/10 of a gram of gold, and of course allows you to have K exchange, so you can actually buy and sell anywhere in the world, and we can also do it in an encrypted network such as PGP, Pretty Good Privacy, or McScribbleX, that Professor McKinney talked about a few months ago. What you should understand is that this is not really optional. If you look at the news, and you get newsletters like Gerald Salente's, if you follow last week, on the 19th, which is Tuesday, the Chinese announced that they weren't going to exchange a new gold-backed yuan currency with the U.S. Federal Reserve note. Now, the problem is on November 17th, Lagarde, the IMF director, while the Paris bombings were going on, announced that China now has a reserve currency. That's not good if that reserve currency will not exchange with the dollar, because now you have what we call currency wars. Well, if they don't have clients, if they don't have customers, their economy is going to crash and burn. And what people should understand is, right now, I want to make a codicil to the statement that Mayor Amschel Rothschild made several hundred years ago. Again, these people are the guys that run our economy and our currency. He said, I care not who runs the economy, whether it's capitalist, communist, or whatever, but I care who coins the money. In other words, they make funny money, print money with a printing press, backed by nothing other than faith, and then they create wealth out of nothing. And, of course, the latest, which is the derivatives market, which during Bill Clinton, Phil Gramm pulled off the Glass-Steagall Act, which is in operation since the 1930s to firewall off the depositors' money for being used for gambling, which is what it is. Derivatives market is gambling. You can't call it insurance because it's gambling. It's like they can gamble on almost anything, but this is kind of obscene. And if you saw the movie The Big Short, they did a kind of little epilogue at the end. They just said, and all these people went to jail and the laws were changed, and then they said not. In other words, nobody went to jail. They never fixed the underlying problems. And now this bubble is hundreds of times bigger than the housing bubble that blew up the world economy in 2008. In fact, the total indebtedness just to the top 6 banks in America is $279 trillion. So the Federal Deposit Insurance Commission, or even the governments, even if they took 100% of the wealth of everybody that's trillionaires and billionaires in the world, it still wouldn't cover the total indebtedness. You'd need the economy of 270-some Earths, copies of Earth, in order to write off the debt. So we're fast approaching the day what I call the demolition, like the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, or the WTC Towers, Tower 1, 2, and 6, and 7, being demolished, because that's what it was, and it was a war game that went to a demolition. And you have to understand, they're ready to demolish the economy, because, and this is the codicil, I care not who coins the currency, but who turns it into a biometric currency so you create the matrix. We are not sliding, we are racing toward the matrix. And I tell people, if you don't get away from the fractional reserve dollar, and even if you have gold and silver coins, you still have to exchange it for fractional reserve currency. Not good. When you have carrot bars, you have something that goes beyond that. It's beyond a cryptocurrency. There's even one out now called a OneCoin that's a cryptocurrency backed by gold. That's a little better, but it's not as good as carrot bars because it's an actual currency backed by gold down to a gram, which means it's doable. So if you buy a bronze package, you can actually start your business without a website, because we give you one, with help from your upline, which is us, calling your people, if you make a list of 5 or 10 or 20 people, and start off with a couple and say, look, we'll play what's called a sizzle call that explains in 5 minutes how to do the business and why it's a good idea to turn a portion of your money into carrot bars, because these fractional reserve currencies are going to blow up this year. And that you can put money on it, especially before the election. If you look at the cycles, and there's lots of economic experts, the currencies are going to be massively devalued even more. The dollar will be less than other currencies, but it's still going to be devalued. And ultimately, they want to push all of us into a functional matrix where all of our wealth is in electronic divots in their supercomputer. That means you're not just a wave slave, you're a cyber slave. What do you think of that term, cyber slave? And because if they press Alt-Delete, you cease to exist in cyberspace. You can't buy or sell because you don't have that quote mark. People say, no, Dr. Deagle, you're exaggerating. We're not that close. Yeah, we are actually. All they have to do is blow up the economy, and they'll give you, make you not just a wage slave, but a cyber slave. What do you think? What do you think, Pete?
that's one of the reasons I really like what's going on with carrot bars. I think we have a real solution here. First of all, it's gold that's affordable, and secondly, it's not just a network of people saving gold, but it's also a network of merchants willing to accept that same gold as a form of payment.
Right, you're talking about the K-Exchange, where you can set up an exchange system. You can be selling crafts, online tutoring, anything you want. In fact, you can set it up, say, locally. You're have a vegetable farm in, say, Colombia. You want to sell them to local people. You can set up exchanges. For example, one of the things we're doing is we're setting up a forum. Our forum on our Blueberry account will allow you to connect to our forum along with our K exchange, and you'll be able to put out a notice saying, "Hey, I have such and such a product. Does anybody in this area within, say, 200 miles want it?" And they say, "Yeah, I want it, and I'll buy and sell with carrot bars." You can also do it in an encrypted manner so nobody knows, including the government, what you're doing. To be honest with you, it's none of the dang business. The problem, I think, we should have simple things like value-added taxes to take care of health care and military and so on. And we should stop this idea of, the reason why the corrupt political parties have the current banking laws with, it needs a battalion of attorneys, is that's the way to stay corrupt. If I don't like Ted Cruz, and it would never happen with the regular parties, which is probably why they hate his guts. But if you ever had a flat tax or a value-added tax and replace the tax system, you couldn't have political corruption or political action committees because everything is based on getting, kickbacks through tax write-offs and other things. If you got rid of that, how could you have corruption? It just couldn't occur. So they don't want to fix that. You have to fix it yourself. You have to say, hey, I want an alternative income. I want to build my carrot bar business. I want to provide my services. Let's say you're a plumber in Iowa. You can actually, in the back office, just sign up right away. And as those things come on, K-exchanges are coming on this year, you'll be able to do that. And also there's a kiosk that's being built here in America, and they're shipped all over the world. So you can be in Santiago, Chile, or Johannesburg, South Africa, and you can exchange this for local currency or actual carrot bar, gold, and silver coins and currency notes. That's how cool this is. So it's going to transition to where it's going to replace credit cards, money, allow you to interchange with money if you need fractional reserve money in your whatever country, and to build up a source of wealth that can't be fiddled with by governments or banks, because they're going to blow up the economy. They're going to blow up the dollar or the currency note, whatever country you're in, and this year is going to be painful that way. We're heading toward a crash. Now, it's all by design because Presto Changer, they have their solution, which is, hey, we got a solution. It's great. It's called the Mark of the Beast. Duh. You don't think it's coming? You're going to be blindsided by the fact they want to push you into the matrix out there. What do you think?
Well, that's unfortunately the reality is that they're going to blindside us with all manner of controls, and people don't either don't want to see it that it's coming, or they're not being told about it. Well,
they're it's like Mark Twain said, those who read the newspaper are disinformed, and those who don't read the newspaper are uninformed. Most of the public education systems right up to universities, most of the public churches, most of the public media is disinformation. They disinform people, and even a lot of the alternative broadcasters and alternative television radio shows, they basically provide 70 to 90% truth and 10% what I call informational cyanide, which is not true. And it's going to make you make decisions that are going to hurt you, or financially or physically or otherwise kill you. And we're not going to do that in this program. We're going to provide solutions. That's why we have things like carrot bars. I'm saying this is not really an alternative. We bought for our immediate family gold and above gold packages to make sure. And then we're working to build a network. And it's real simple. I remember one person that had been, I'm going to say, they signed up and they paid for the package, but they were not getting their KYC documents, so they weren't doing the business. And they called me back later and said, look at all these people that are under me. I said, all you got to do is add people on the other side. You got your power leg, is we're helping you with. You just need to do your banking leg, and you'll cycle, and all those dollars are sitting in your account. And you look and say, my gosh, look at all the money I can get in euros in my MasterCard in Stuttgart, Germany, and convert. And by the way, you can transfer to your bank with a bank transfer and SWIFT system. You can transfer up to $2 million. Did you know that? $2 million. And there's a SWIFT code for euros to your bank here in America or other countries, or a code from dollars. But whatever currency, whether you're switching to currency, say in South America or Germany, wherever you're listening to this, or Britain, it's an amazing system. We have people like Nitsa Nako started in Vancouver, and in 1 year she got 18,000 people downline. She didn't contact 18,000. She mentored some mentored people to build a network, to call their downline, to email them weekly, say, how can I help you? And had everybody from single mothers that were building a network at home to like people like Professor McCain, who's an astrophysicist, is an expat in South America. Within weeks, he had people signing up all over the world. Now, he has a blog radio show on a Thursday evening for an hour. But beyond that, I mean, his reach, he was on our show. We have people that have a fruit stand like Kino in New York City. Sharp businessman. This guy has built his business really fast. He's right down from Wall Street. And there were skeptics there. No, this is a scam. This is a scam. And then you realize there were Hollywood producers and members of the Bundestag in Germany that were actually members. Like, bad move. This is a good idea. Get involved quick. Get involved now. So this guy that had signed up, he realized and say, my gosh, you put like 47 people under me and I haven't done a thing. And look at all this money sitting here. All I have to do is just make a few phone calls and I'm going to start getting, as they say, not checks in the mail, deposits in my MasterCard. Pretty cool, hey?
That's very cool.
So he didn't have to do a dang thing. We're already building business for him because all I can do is sponsor 2 people and everybody else we sponsor is downline. And they need to understand. So when we're generating this pipeline of people, all they need to do is start doing what we do and getting the people below them to do the same thing. If they can sponsor one person on their left and right leg and they do the same thing and they just do it once a month, all the people downline of them, in 1 year they can have over 1,000 people. Wow. I mean, in other words, we only succeed when you succeed downline. And when you succeed, we build a downline to infinity, which means if it's 200 deep and there's 20,000 people there, I think Dan Geromo, I think he over 100,000 people before he died. He was in heart failure for years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he was making, major buco bucks. I mean, he's made one of the world leaders. And the main thing is he has simplified it to like washing dishes. Call people, place sizzle call. Say, are you interested? If they are, send them the video link. Call them back. Get their fraud and security department of their credit card on. Buy even a bronze package or silver or upgrade. Hold their hand. Call their people that they make in their list, 5 to 20 people. See, are they interested? Teach them how to do the same thing you're doing, like washing dishes, put them in the rack, rinse them off. When they're dry, put them up in the cupboard. It's that simple. You don't have to get into complex finances and say the economy is this bad. If somebody doesn't know the economy is about to tank, they're not paying attention to the news. Even I call the snooze news, like Fox News, I call faux news network for false. MSNBC, which is the worst of the bunch. CNN, which is a little balanced, but it's still, if you watch any of these things, you got to realize, yes, we are in big trouble. And by the way, it's all by design. It's not like, they couldn't find a solution. Of course they could find a solution. Get rid of the Fed Reserve, write off crazy debt, set up proper one-on-one deals with different countries rather than quote overall treaties, so we don't have, any administrative control of what's going on in our business. It takes our business and moves it elsewhere. And it doesn't mean that we can't build up their business too, but we can't strip the country right down to nothing and expect to have an economy. That's why we got a lot of angry Americans, both on the Republican side with Trump and Bernie Sanders' side, saying, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. Well, guess what? It starts with you, not just voting a politician in like Bernie or Trump, with you saying, hey, I don't want to do this anymore as a single parent or a chiropractor or an accountant. I want to have a side business so that when they blow up the dollar, I can still put gas in my car and buy food. And I can still have a savings. Think of this as a money annuity. I think Dan, when he died, actually, Christmas Eve, his family has this annuity of his money in his system and his network that's going to continue going for years, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. It's a real legacy.
Yeah. So if you want help, just call us. You can call us here at the NutriMedical at 888-212-8871. We can bump up to people like Gary Franch, who has his own alternative news network. He's one of our upline. To Pete Fedek and Jim Deal. We call him Big Deal. And these guys work the system really well. They teach people and mentor them. And we have Carrot Group team. If you go to our website, you'll see a lot of the videos. If you go to NutriMedical and you look up the main front page, and right at the top of announcements, you'll see it has a big black carrot bars with a little, looks like a chunk of gold there. Step-by-step process to get paid and save in gold and build a secure financial money-making future. Follow the 10 steps. And we also show video links, live stream video, the videos that Dan Geromo taught about the whole system. Some of the other links that we're going to be posting up will include things like, what is money? What's going on with the money? Why are they doing this? Well, they're doing it because they want absolute control. They're trying to convert the middle class to what I call the gruel, G-R-U-E-L, like Oliver Twist. May I have more, sir? The gruel class. So people need to get it, I don't care how rich you are, people like Donald Trump, he knows he can go from being a billionaire to bust, right?
That's right.
It's a long way to fall, but it's still falling. Doesn't matter if you fall from 10,000 feet or you fall 10 feet, the ground is still where it's been all along. So, you could be a plumber and, lose the last $5,000 of your money in your savings, and all of a sudden you can't afford to put gas in your car or go and do jobs. Or you can be a billionaire like Donald Trump and everything can be bust too. Donald is doing this not just to save America, but to save his own hide too. People need to know that. This guy's honest. He's a blue-collar billionaire. That's the best way I'd describe him, a blue-collar billionaire. That's why he's got rough edges. He's a tough businessman, and as I say, we need to steal his Twitter account access so he doesn't retweet it late at night. I'm sure his daughter and wife say that. So we'll be back in a minute with another short segment. If you want to call in about carrot bars, you can call in 800-313-9443, or you can call our order line at NutriMedical, or just contact us. Just go to NutriMedical.com, NUTRIMEDICAL.com. We'll tell you more about the business, how to get going, how easy and inexpensive it is. We're going to go to the carrot bars page we have and some of the other references like Carrot Group Team, etc., and show you how simple this whole process is. It's amazing. It really is. It's mind-boggling how simple it is to start this business. $54 to get a bronze package, $54 a month to get an ounce of gold, roughly. It's in that dollar range. And you're off to the business. And then as soon as you start calling people and you build a downline, within 12 weeks you're going to get basically free gold. You're not going to have to pay for gold anymore. You're also going to start realizing that when you build a downline, at the end of a year, you're going to say, whoa, I get this money in my account. This is hard to believe. I mean, I think we just transferred a big chunk of money, as they say, 5 figures transferred to do other things just this last week. So, and by the way, you don't have to be a person with a radio show. We have people downline of us that have just done the business, and they're doing fantastic. They don't have any radio show. They don't have any other contacts other than the people in their business. They start doing it regularly. We have a caller, and your question, your name, go right ahead. You're on the air. Mike in Kentucky.
I guess you're talking to me, Mike from Kentucky.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
So, you've set this up somehow to try to get in front of any problems like Nothaus had with his silver and wirehouse receipts?
Oh, yeah. This is the regulations in Germany are far harder than any other country on earth. In fact, you actually can do the business without even buying anything. But you're not
going to be an affiliate, in other words?
Yeah, you don't. But the thing about it is, it's got so many controls in it, and some regulatory controls. It's in like 120 countries. The only places where it's been withdrawn are a few social communist countries in South America, where they saw it as a danger to the local currency. It's growing like crazy. In the last few weeks, I think the Chinese government are really promoting this because they realize they needed more than just the gold-backed yuan. This is truly a global currency because with carrot bars, you can buy and sell things across state lines and country lines and around the world on the carrot bars network, for example, with K-Exchange, and you can also do it encrypted. So basically, nobody knows even what you're doing, whether you're selling vegetables or consulting or acting as an engineer or tutor. I mean,
well, that's what I was trying to wonder if it would work with community type currency.
Oh yeah.
To promote local, businesses.
Exactly. That combined with something like our forum, we're setting up to have a blog and forum, and I even want to have maps so people can actually propose an issue. It'll go through Michelle, who'll be the forum director, and it'll boom pop up there. And if people say, "Hey, I want to contact other people that are, growing veggies on the roof in New York City, or Messianic believers, or people that want to do a certain kind of business, or a humanitarian thing. Let's say they want to help disabled veterans. All these things, or they want to set up a tithing system where whatever profit they're going to pour a portion of it back in to provide food and clothing to people that are, because we're heading towards some really tough economic times, and we need to not think we're going to rely on government or wizards in government are going to fix it, like big promises from people like Bernie Sanders, or wizards of business like Donald Trump, who's far more competent, so he can make a system that actually you can afford to pay for what you promise. It requires us to intervene. My big why of why I did doing care bars, I don't want to take the mark, and I don't want anybody else to be forced into what I call the biometric matrix. I want to have money that can be used for humanitarian reasons, local community, and to buffer it so that they can't fiddle, the banks can't fiddle it, or corporations or governments. Lots of reasons. It's pretty cool. If you have questions, give us a call. People will be back on with Jim Deal next week. Hour 1 on Tuesdays at our Carrot Bar University. Mike, thank you for calling. We'll be back in a minute with hour number 2.